before. All right, so to fix our broken election, that entails a lot of things. When I say broken, we've all seen, sort of problems with how our elections are run. This is specifically changing how our elections are funded, and letting all voters participate in open primaries, instilling things like ranked choice voting, so that you're not just picking between the lesser of two evils, and your vote will continue to count, even if you're maybe voting for a third-party candidate. People will be like, I won't vote for a third-party candidate because they'll never win. But with ranked choice voting, your vote will still count, even if that first candidate doesn't win. We also have automatic voter registration, and finally, ending gerrymandering. This is my big, I'm not trying that video again.
I got it. I really got it.
No, he's got it. Keep going.
I feel like I got it.
Okay.
You can get back to it at the end. All right.
Okay.
Now, so the more that I learn about gerrymandering, the more that I'm realizing how complex and complicated it is, but I'm trying to and simplify it a little bit and get just the complete basics. So first of all, gerrymandering is when an election district lines are drawn in such a way that it specifically advantages one person or group, or in the case of partisan gerrymandering, it'd be a party. So the party in power will draw the election districts so that they'll get more votes. And that's sort of a more dictionary definition, but the best way I've heard it defined is that it's when politicians are picking their voters and voters aren't picking their politicians. So there's a lot of effects that comes from this that you'll see during the election. So first of all, it cuts the number of competitive districts, and it contributes to the rising partisan polarization that seems to be everywhere these days. I mean, just turn on the news, it's so polarized. Finally, the most important cause, in my opinion, is that it reduces the influence of the voters. And that means that voters don't have any meaningful choice. That, yeah, sure, you can vote, but because of the way the district is drawn, no matter if you vote on your beliefs, it'll still sort of end up this way. And that doesn't seem right at all. Because in our democracy, that's what it means. It's democracy. That's how we choose our leaders. We're supposed to vote, so what does that mean if those votes don't count? And finally, so after this election has taken place, and we're stuck with these people in office that were elected during gerrymandered districts, we end up with unfair and unequal representation. So the statewide vote is not equal to who's actually in office. So here's a good way of putting it, because this is actually a really big problem in our home state of North Carolina, that there's a statistic that I've said so many times I practically haven't memorized, but it's the Republican Party has 50.3% of the popular vote. However, they have 10 out of 13 of the seats in our House seats. And isn't that wrong? That's obviously, it doesn't match up. And, yes?
But in Charlotte, 9 of the 11 seats are Democrats.
Exactly, I was about to get to that actually. Well, because what I found out is actually, when someone was asked, when one of the men that drew the districts was asked, so why is it 10 and 3 that doesn't match up? He said, because we couldn't find a way to draw the districts so that it would be 11 and 2. Oh. And so, but I want to point out, like you were pointing out, this is not a partisan problem. This is not by any means anything that just Republicans are doing. In fact, we got an email for RepUS yesterday from a chapter in Maryland that was saying, can we partner with you to stop Democrats gerrymandering in Maryland? And maybe 50 years ago here, it was Democrats gerrymandering here. And I say this so much, it's like muscle memory at this point, but corruption is not a partisan problem. Corruption is something that is everywhere. It's something that gerrymandering is something that everyone is doing, and it's something that it becomes our responsibility to stop that. And meanwhile, North Carolina is notorious for gerrymandering. Like for decades, people know our ridiculously gerrymandered districts. There's one that goes like all the way around District 12. Look it up, it's ridiculous.
Snakes.
But North Carolina is known for this, and shouldn't we be known for better things? Like, look at this, like our good Southern cooking, like our good food, our good sweet tea. Have you seen our Carolina Panthers? That's what we should be known for. Corruption. And meanwhile, the federal government isn't doing us any favors to help us out here. In fact, in a recent Supreme Court determination, they decided that the power to draw districts will remain with local governments, which effectively just continues letting the fox run the hen house, you know? And so the federal government isn't doing any favors, so it becomes up to the voters, up to the citizens, up to people like you and me to start fighting this on our own. And here's how we're going to do that. So I have written an anti-gerrymandering resolution that encourages state and national governments to end gerrymandering. So what we're going to do is on August 26th, mark your calendars, there is a city council meeting where we are going to bring this resolution just to the city of Charlotte, just to our city council, and say, do you support us? Will you support this? Do you support an end to gerrymandering, basically? It's a non-binding resolution, but it's just saying the city of Charlotte doesn't like gerrymandering, which I think it's safe to say most of the people don't.
Except the people in power.
Except the people, of course. Details. Small details. And so that's what we're asking them to do, and how our strategy works. It says this in the video, but I'll just handle it. So how the Represent Us strategy works is that we start small. We start with local governments. So I'm going to pass this anti-corruption resolution in the city of Charlotte. But you know, there's already an anti-gerrymandering resolution that has been passed in Brunswick. And maybe we could get, I don't know, a resolution from Raleigh or Asheville or some of our cities. And that'll catch the attention of the state government. And once we have support from our city, from our very local government, it becomes easier to pass state and nationwide legislation. And this has been shown historically, that things with segregation or gay marriage, it started small and they had to work their way up. So our goal is to end gerrymandering, but what are we gonna do once we've stopped letting these officials draw districts? Who's gonna do it? So our plan is to have independent, nonpartisan, fully transparent redistricting commissions to draw our districts. And that might sound like a fantasy, but it exists. This is a real thing. They already have these commissions in California, Idaho, Arizona, and Washington. And they have been successful in conquering gerrymandering in those states. That's weird. So finally, I'm gonna get into the part where it becomes all about you, about how you can help us. And first of all, just call your councilman. Leave maybe a 2-minute voicemail saying, we support this resolution, please pass it, pretty much. And if you don't know who your city councilman is, that's fine. I didn't either. It's easy to find online. Or Christopher Kubala, right here in the second row, has them all memorized for some reason. So if you need to know who your city councilman is, or you want to leave them a voicemail, talk to him. If you're looking to support...
Send us a video on it.
I was a guest and everything.
So if you're looking, aside from specifically this bill, if you like what I'm saying and you're looking to support Represent Us more globally, you can do something as simply as just looking on our website, it's represent.us, or following us on social media. Or if you're really fired up, go to our meeting. We have one on Tuesday. It's nearby. I'll be there, and I'm great. Or if you are really fired up, what we really need is support at the city council meeting. We really need as much support as we can get. So if you're free on August 26th and want to have a fun Monday night, come down to the courthouse and support us. We really need as much support as we can get. Yeah, and so if you want any other information, I have slips that you're going to hand out of just all of our links, all of our social media, so you can check us out. But, I mean, just get serious for a sec. North Carolina has so much to offer, and we shouldn't be known for political corruption. So please join our fight however you do it. Thank you.
Great. Woo! Questions? Any questions?